Folks, Canadian Prepper here. Today is going to be a little bit of an edgy rant about the guns and the government. And as such, I will be embodied by the spirit of the all-American prepper for this video. So sit back and enjoy while I shoot myself in the foot. And you'll notice I have my incognito plausible deniability spectacles on today. And you'll also notice that there's a camera. These are the Ray-Bans with the camera. You know, that ridiculous contraption that the corporate fascist governments of the world want us to all wear on our faces, this panoptical surveillance apparatus, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be doing a parody of review on these glasses. So no, I don't encourage you to go out and put a camera on your face. There's enough cameras out there. And that's part of the problem, is that the more cameras there are, the more disarmed we become. And the closer we get to SHTF of the nuclear sort, surprisingly, they're trying to take away all the firearms. What a coincidence. Anyways, let's talk about what everybody's getting wrong about this firearms ban in Canada, including the right, including the conservatives. Okay, you guys know that I try to remain politically impartial on this channel. I've tried to remain nonpartisan for the last 8 years. Unfortunately, the Liberal Party has made me a single issue voter. And that's sad, because there's a lot of issues besides firearms. But for some people, it's one of the most essential. Here in Canada, apparently now, the only valid use of a firearm is for hunting. Okay, now understand what is happening here. Let me explain for all of you who are from abroad, because this is all going to affect you. The same recipe is going to be rolled out in your country, if it hasn't already, for how they're planning on incrementally disarming the population. Of course, it's for our own benefit. We all know that. This is what they're going to do. Bill C-21 came in probably earlier in the year. It was passed, banning all handguns. Basically, you can't own a handgun, you can't buy one anymore. If you own one, you can keep it till you die, then the government comes and confiscates it from your loved ones, okay? Now, at the 11th hour, the government decided to make an amendment to this bill. They snuck in a prohibition of all semi-autos. Remember, this initially was a handgun ban that was supposed to fight crime, even there was no evidence to support that that is actually true, that banning all handguns is going from law-abiding firearms owners who have to register all of these guns, because all handguns were already what they call restricted, so you had to register all of them, so they knew where all these guns were going. Anyways, it's proven that they're all coming over the border. Like 99% of guns used in gun crime are coming over the border. Anyways, Bill C-21 was passed, c'est la vie. Hopefully it gets repealed by Pierre Poilievre if and when he gets into office. But they decided at the 11th hour to make this amendment. We're going to add all the semi-autos, all the semi-auto rifles that remain, and all the semi-auto shotguns. But the Liberal government doesn't get enough credit for how smart they are. And I don't mean smart in a general sense. I just mean smart in the sense of when it comes to taking people's rights and privileges away, you can count on them to be masters at 4D chess. And this is what they did, my friends. They decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to add some completely out of place, ludicrous firearms to this list. Like single shot 22s, firearms that have waterfowl hunting in the title. Okay, that are like waterfowl guns designated for the purpose of shooting ducks. We're going to add some of these in there because we know there's going to be a lot of pushback to this bill by the conservatives. So we're going to get them to frame it as a hunting gun ban, as an attack against hunters. Now, understand, I've been saying this all along. I've mentioned this in several videos, but I've never made a dedicated video on it. But I have to, because people need to be aware of the bait and switch that is happening here. This is called the good old door-in-the-face sales tactic. There's a tactic that salesmen use. They'll come to your door and they'll make this outrageous proposition that they know you're going to turn down, and you're going to slam the door in their face. And what they then do is they knock on the door again, and they say, okay, I understand that was a little outrageous. How about this, which by comparison is much, much better, but still absolutely uncalled for and outrageous, which is what Bill C-21 is in the first place. But the amendments of the semi-autos are what we're concerned about here. So here's what they've done. They decided to throw in these extra hunting rifles, knowing there was going to be pushback, and what they're going to say now is, okay, and Justin Trudeau has already said this, you're right. We put in some rifles in there that maybe we shouldn't have. And Canadian hunters have spoken, and we're listening. This is exactly what Trudeau has said on Monday. His government is consulting Canadians about the list, saying that's where we're listening to feedback on now to make sure that we're not capturing weapons that are primarily used as hunting weapons. Now, what does this do? This basically relegates sports shooting to the realm of the illegitimate. It basically makes it so that there is no legitimate use of a firearm other than hunting ducks, big game, medium game, and squirrels. Sport shooting is no longer a legitimate use of a firearm. Never mind self-defense. I mean, why would you want to defend yourself? Only the Prime Minister, only the essential workers in society get bodyguards, okay? And the money. Only the money is protected by firearms. Your life is not as valuable as the guys, what are those guys with the big trucks, the armored trucks? Your life isn't that valuable. Think about that for a second. Anyways, so door in the face sales tactic has been utilized here in order to now make the Liberals seem charitable when they come back and they say, okay, we're going to give you back some of these hunting rifles, but guess what? They're likely not going to give back the semi-autos that they threw in there. Most of those are going to remain banned, what they consider to be assault-style rifles. And a lot of conservatives have taken the bait, including Andrew Scheer, Pierre Poilievre, and the woman whose name I always butcher, Raquel Danchow. I know I totally butchered it again. I don't know what it is. I hear people say it. It comes in my ear, and then it's processed in my brain, and then when it comes out of my mouth, it sounds different. Anyways, they're all taking the bait. They're all saying, this is an attack against hunters. No, it's an attack against shooters in general. Okay? Pierre, I believe, has said that he would repeal, or at least try to repeal, Bill C-21. So, great. That means that all of this would go away if he was to ever get elected. Even the NDP, because of pressure by their constituents, are coming out and challenging these amendments that have been made. Unfortunately, what I suspect is going to happen is that the Liberal government is going to make some concessions on the hunting rifles. And maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but like I say, they're very crafty when it comes to taking away people's rights and privileges. But they're not that intelligent with anything else. And I'm not saying that conservatives are the greatest either. I'm a firm believer in that thing, if you're not a liberal, if you're not a liberal at 20 and you have no heart, if you're not a liberal at 20, you have no heart. If you're not a conservative by 40, you probably have no brain. I don't know, maybe you guys disagree with that. I think there's a time for the rebelliousness of youth to slap that label of liberal and lean left progressive. But, when you get older in life, you start to realize some things, okay? And what we realize now is that law-abiding, tax-paying citizen, upstanding members of our great society are now being demonized for all of the social problems that we're currently seeing that are largely the result of poverty, drug addiction, and just a general, inflation, you name it. There's a lot of things, but a lot of these are socioeconomic. Okay, and that's the root of the problem is socioeconomic. It's not about, some random firearms owner's home being broken into and then those guns being used in crime that's the leading contributor. It's guns coming across the border that are one of the leading contributors. Now, I'll give it to the conservatives. Maybe I'm not being diplomatic enough Maybe I don't understand, partisan nature of this whole situation, in that they realized if they try to fight the amendment from the perspective of sport shooters, they're not going to get the support that they need. I'm guessing that that's probably it, but I'm guessing that they're hoping that if they can attack the hunting component of this, then the Liberals will be forced to get rid of the entire amendment. And I hope that I'm just some backwoods yokel who doesn't understand the process of how these things work. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping they're not taking the bait on this, because it's pretty obvious with respect to that. Maybe, however, this is just a salvage operation. Maybe they know that the bill's probably going to pass regardless, and they're just trying to salvage what they can for hunters. Maybe we'll get to keep the SKS, but every single other semi-auto is going to go the way of the dinosaur in this country. So it might be that's what's happening. Public will not support sport shooters, but they'll probably support hunters, especially because tied to that is indigenous subsistence hunting privileges. Okay, so that's where they kind of get them. Because, of course, they always hide behind minorities when it's instrumental to do so when it comes to taking people's rights away. And I can say that because I'm a minority. Okay, I know how the game works. Have I said too much yet? Have we shot ourselves in the foot? Incognito, panoptical spectacles. There's an old saying, speak softly and carry a big stick. You know what that saying is today? Speak very loudly and carry no stick. That's what a bunch of disarmed protesters up against a highly militarized police force are going to be in the dystopian future. Put that one on a t-shirt. Speak loudly and conceal carry nothing. See how that works out in the future. All I can say to my brothers and sisters in emergency services or people who serve in the military is that someday you are going to retire and you're going to be one of us. You're going to be disarmed, and a lot of the hardworking RCMP and Canadian police officers that I know, they understand this. They know who's breaking the law. They know it's not us. They know it's people without criminal records. You can't even get a gun, I don't think, with a criminal record. I mean, you can. You got to go through all these hoops. But it's not us. Okay, so just remember, the time's going to come when you're going to turn in your badge. And guess what? You're also going to be turning in your item that you use for sports shooting or hunting. Okay? Something to think about. Why is it taboo at all that we can defend ourselves? I mean, think about that for a second. Think about the diabolical nature of that for a second, that it's taboo to defend ourselves. I mean, as far as I know, there are many VIP people within this. VIP people? Was that redundant for me to say that? There are many people in this society who have bodyguards who have firearms. Like I said, there are many people who aren't even people. They're just money in a bag, and they have firearms to protect them. I'm not encouraging people to do anything that is outside the scope of what is legal. Okay? There are certain circumstances, as we've discussed with the executive director of the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights on this channel before. There are very unique, specific circumstances that you can use a firearm to defend yourself in. But it's tricky and it's complicated. So we are in no way, shape, or form encouraging people to do anything illegal. Always try to go through the appropriate legal and political channels in order to bring forth the change that you would like to see in the world. It's becoming harder, guys, to remain apolitical. It's becoming very, very difficult. You know who has a lot of guns? Switzerland has a lot of guns. And they have a surprisingly low rate of gun crime. The gun incidents they do have, admittedly so, are that of the people taking their own lives. Sort. Well, that's an issue everywhere, unfortunately. It's tragic. It's unfortunate. I just read a article the other day, though, that said that I'm pretty sure it was the Liberal government or somebody who was represented by the Liberal government who had recommended that this veteran euthanize herself. Yes, they gave her the option. They weren't going to pay for the treatment that she needed, but they said, hey, we can help you get euthanized, i.e. die if you want. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Something to think about, my friends. Let me know what you think about in the comment section below. We're going to be doing the World War III daily current events analysis in probably a few hours, but I just wanted to get this off my chest. Let me know what you think, and go and subscribe to the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights YouTube channel. You will not be disappointed. I cannot recommend a more professional organization to represent us firearms owners here in Canada. So go check them out. Thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out.